Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2020 film Spontaneous, and I have not heard nearly as much about this film as I probably should have, because people should be talking about this. And maybe, well, wishful thinking, maybe this review will get that going more. This is a no spoiler review since it is from 2020, so I will provide you with some information on why I think this is a good film. Some, good and bad, so I'll kind of throw it all out there, and then you can decide, do you want to watch this. But I would recommend that you definitely watch this film. I thought it was very well done. It is kind of pushed as like a horror comedy, but it's more than that. The other thing is the horror aspect, it's not super strong. There is a horror aspect to it, so there will be something there for people who are big into horror, especially some gore hounds. There's some nice gore moments, but it's not overly horror. There's a lot more to it. It's very much kind of a hybrid genre film. So I actually like that quite a bit. So this is written and directed by Brian Duffield, who wrote scripts. He'd mainly just written scripts before. He wrote scripts for films, the Divergent series, Entry Insurgent, The Babysitter, that was on Netflix, which I did enjoy, Underwater, which I did not enjoy, and Love and Monsters, which I have not seen, but have interest in seeing. And this is apparently based on a novel of the same name by Aaron Starmer. Honestly, after seeing this film, I'm sorry, not Starmer, Aaron Starmer. After seeing this, it actually makes me kind of want to go read the book. And I actually think my wife might enjoy reading this book, because it's actually, and this is going to shock people potentially if you've seen the film. Well, maybe not, but it was a young adult book. But there's some really good literature that's young adult. Anyway, quick synopsis of this film. It's basically about high school students. It mainly focuses on one named Mara and her peers at their high school. They're in their senior year, and all of a sudden, exploding. It's called Spontaneous because of spontaneous human combustion. That's not really spoiling anything for the movie, because it happens like immediately. It's not like a secret with this film. It's about what happens after it starts happening. And it's very interesting. It's a great concept. It's an amazing concept, actually. And it kind of hits to something that I thought about a lot in high school. That's kind of a weird thing to say, but I actually thought about spontaneous human combustion a lot in high school because I learned about it then. And I don't think it's like an actual thing, but the idea that it could be an actual thing was kind of fun, kind of like how people entertain the idea of Bigfoot. It was just a fun thing at the time. So I had a lot of jokes, especially with my mom, about spontaneous human combustion. But this film takes that awesome premise and does a really good job incorporating it into an actual story. They take a voiceover narration approach to the film, which I think works. Sometimes they really don't work well, sometimes they do work well. This one works perfectly fine. It's all from the perspective of Mara, so her being a narrator to portions of it makes a lot of sense. It's not like a full narration where she's narrating the entire film, but she jumps in here and there, and they do it in a very endearing, interesting way, so it's not problematic. The premise seems crazy, ridiculous, and fun all at the same time, and that hits you immediately when the film starts going. There is just this overall feeling of like fun with the film, and it stays light even though the subject isn't necessarily light, and what's going on around the characters isn't light either. But they maintain this funness, and that's done in a bunch of different ways. It's the performances, it's the way the camera works with the scenes. It's the music. The music is a big thing, keeps things very upbeat and light, and it's more of like a modern soundtrack, which makes sense because it's going along with a high school crowd. So yeah, characters spout off some dark humor, and it becomes very, very fun. I don't know if there are people out there who don't really like dark humor. I really do enjoy dark humor when it's done well, and that's one of the big things. The humor aspect of this film is done very well, and a lot of that humor is coming from the dark humor that's being espoused by these characters, mainly Mara, but other people around her as well. Works really well. A lot of good funny stuff. I laughed quite a few times when I was watching the film, that's not easy to make me do when I'm watching a film by myself. So kudos to that. It speaks to the script writing, but it also mainly speaks to the source material, the novel, I assume. They do flashbacks in kind of a frantic and light and fun way. Sometimes flashbacks suck, sometimes flashbacks are annoying, but flashbacks in this are done in a very fun way that you are totally good with when you know they're about to hit a flashback. And some of them are really interesting because they have the character actually like interact with the camera, so they really break that fourth wall in a fun, interesting way, and it doesn't really take you out of the film. It's pretty good. The score matches the film really well. It's modern and upbeat, which helps the light atmosphere, like I was already talking about. Extra points for featuring the song And We Danced by the Hooters. If you know that song, you are probably into 80s music, specifically 80s one hit wonders. A lot of people don't know who the Hooters are, but they probably know this, have heard at some point the song And We Danced. And it's a great song, and it's incorporated very well in this film. So that made me perk up in particular. Just a small thing. Just when the main issue being the spontaneous human combustion, just when it seems to become relegated to the kind of periphery of the story and the film in general, they refocus on it, which actually helps drive more of kind of a mystery aspect to the film. Like, you're really intrigued to be like, well, who's next? And why is this happening? Are they going to figure out how to stave this off? Are they going to figure out the root cause? Like, what's going on? And I like that aspect. I'm not going to tell you what ends up happening if they figure things out or not or anything, but it's interesting. You know something is coming at certain points, being the spontaneous human combustion. Like, you know it's going to happen. But the interesting thing is you don't know exactly when. Like, you continually have this feeling like it's going to happen, like we're going to get more of this going on. But they do a good job of focusing you on some other aspect of the story. Usually, things going on between two characters, and it lulls you into this feeling of kind of normalcy again with these characters' lives. And then that's when they basically like spring things on you again, and it catches you off guard, and I like that. It's great when you don't see it coming, like you low key expect it, but then you don't see it coming and it happens. It's awesome. So once again, it speaks to the writing. For the most part, there's good pacing with this film, although I do feel like towards like the last half hour of the film, it's like an hour and 40 some minutes. The last half hour of it, I think, does drag a little bit. I think they kind of stretched it. I don't think they intentionally stretched it. There was more story there. But it just gets kind of slow, and it feels like, okay, I think you got your point through at this point. We can kind of cut some of this back. So, but other than that, the pacing is pretty good. It doesn't get too slow, really. There is some very fun gore in this. There's specifically one scene in particular that has a very nice amount of gore, and that's probably the most fun part of the film for me personally. So if you do like gore, you're going to get gore. Just hang in there. You will get the gore. You get it very early, and then you get it kind of intermittently, and then there's another point where you get even better. The ending does feel like it gets dragged out, oh yeah, but it is a good ending. It is definitely a good ending, and there are really like points to this film. There's actually a lot of subtext and themes in this film that are very nice. And yeah, so Catherine Langford, who plays Mara, reminds me a lot of Odessa Young, who plays the character Lily in the film Assassination Nation. If you have not seen Assassination Nation, definitely check that one out. I actually think it would be a good one to watch along with Spontaneous, as would the film Tragedy Girls. That's another one I think would pair very well with Spontaneous. But yeah, when I saw Catherine Langford, I was like, she looks like, and her character acts like Odessa Young and her character Lily in Assassination Nation. So, just saying. This film has a lot of heart. It has a perfect mix of teenage love story and horror comedy to it. Yeah, comedy, horror, drama, teenage love story, coming of age stuff, dealing with real life issues. All these things roll in very nicely into this nice, I was going to say pie, but that's a dumb way to put it. I apologize for that. I feel like this points a lot to stress and anxiety that builds up until it explodes with people on the precipice of crossing the threshold into adulthood. I don't think that's the main theme here. It is some subtext that comes up with it that, this is a tumultuous time. It's not a coincidence that the people experiencing this are seniors in high school. It's making a bit of a point that, that's a very stressful time. The world is really putting a lot on these people at this point. They don't really know which way they should be going with their lives. It's stress. It's stress. And then they also show, some parents in the film who basically, kind of tell some of the kids in it, like, it's stressful when you're a parent. You got all this other stuff to deal with. It sucks, basically. So yeah. The film plays really well right now as a reflection of the uncertainty, trauma, and stress of the pandemic. It really does. This truly feels like a film of its time, going on with the pandemic, and the fact that it actually came out in 2020 when the pandemic really kicked off. You can feel so much in common with this. So many aspects. Just look for it while you're watching it. Seriously, it's all there. It also reminds you, sometimes things just happen in life, good and bad. It's about how you then deal with those things as an individual, as someone in a relationship, as a family unit, all those things. Sometimes things just happen, like they really do, and that kind of, it drives it home in an interesting, entertaining, good way. And the film gets emotional from time to time. And I got a little bit of the feels as I was going through it quite a few times, and that's good. That means that you're feeling something from the writing, you're feeling something from the acting, from the execution of the directing, cinematography, music, all those things, and everything just rolls together and is really good. Really enjoyed this film, and I would highly encourage other people to watch it. When I watched this and when I'm doing this review, it was on Hulu is where I watched it, because I did a Gretel and Hansel review as well. That was on Hulu. And I said, Hulu does get some good horror stuff. I mainly focus on Shudder. That's my main home, basically, with movie reviews. But I get out there from time to time, especially when I see a chunk of good stuff I really want to hit up. And I've seen that on Hulu. So you might see more of these. Let's talk in the comments. Go ahead and put comments down there. Go ahead. Spoilers are okay for the comments. Go ahead and do that, and we can talk about this if you want to get more in depth about it. Let me know your thoughts. So out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm really liking this film. I'm going 4.5 stars, which if you've been watching enough of my reviews, I don't go that far. So you should watch this. You should definitely watch this. I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to feel the same way about it that I do and like it as much as I do, but I think most people will like it. I think a lot of people will like it if they give it a shot. But yeah, put some comments down there. Do me a favor really, really quick. Hit that subscribe button. If you like this video or any video I have ever done, that is how you repay me. You don't give me money. Just take a quick second to hit subscribe, and I consider you have paid me, because you're certainly keeping me motivated when you do that. But anyway, I do thank you for taking your time to watch this video. It does mean a lot to me. And until next time, keep it brutal.